Did you know there was a character in Star Wars who bit off someone's thumb and then became a Sith Lord? Well, we're going to talk about that tonight.
Bit off someone's thumb?
Oh, it's a thing.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another fantastic episode of the Empire Radio Podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
That's right. We're talking about thumbs. Thumbs being bitten
The
tonight.
source? Is that what? Wasn't that part of
The Schwartz
Wait, no, that was.
Spaceballs.
Yes, but wasn't there a Star Wars thumb? What was the name of
Thumb
that?
Wars.
Thumb
Yes.
Wars. Yes.
Oh gosh,
Did you ever watch that?
that is something that we need to cover.
Dude, actually.
Next
I have
week.
no
Thumb
idea
Wars?
what
Yes,
you're
yes.
We can
let's
find
do
it. Okay, everyone, because of Drew, Jeremiah's gonna literally hate this with every fiber of his being. Next week.
Thumb Wars.
Next week, Thumb Wars.
Thumb
It'll be
Wars.
what, August 3rd or something like
I
that.
don't know. I'm not helping you with the date on that one.
That's
Sorry.
fine. Okay, so everyone stay tuned. We just decided.
Okay, we don't even know if we can find it yet. We haven't even.
Oh
looked
no,
at
we're
it
gonna
on
find
YouTube.
it. Jeremiah, it's not an.
David
it's not
in the chat, AU Drew.
look. It's not a matter of if. It's we're gonna do it.
David can find us the link to it right now, I bet.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Dude.
at all.
Okay, so
Dude.
Jeremiah, we're getting completely off topic here, but
No, we gotta save it for next week. We gotta save it for next week.
just know it's gonna be great.
You know, it'd be really cool if Jeremiah did a watch party with me.
No, that's not gonna happen. Sorry.
Wow. All right. Well,
Okay. Well,
all I know is that brought joy to my life because I had completely forgotten about that until you said something. Drew.
me too.
Completely. Wow, dude, man, that is a special piece of Star Wars media. It really
That
is.
is.
Um,
I wonder if he'll think the
Jeremiah,
first half
did
is
you ever-
trash.
Jeremiah, did you ever enjoy the Annoying Orange on YouTube back in its heyday?
I knew of it. I never watched it.
Oh, this is kind of similar.
No, I do
But it's
remember.
Star Wars.
I do remember the high pitched Fred that people were talking about a little bit in Discord today.
This is not Fred.
He used to be the #1 subscribed YouTuber back in the day.
Yeah, I watched his videos with great joy back in the day.
Anyway, EU with Andrew today.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay, so bringing this back, we are actually talking about a Sith Lord who bit off someone's thumb, but he technically did it before he was a Sith Lord. But today, basically, we're going to be talking about Darth Bane, one of my favorite characters from the expanded universe because he is a wimp in canon so far because we've barely gotten anything. He's got this stupid armor on, makes him look like a samurai, which I love samurai, but that's not what Bane looked like.
Maybe that's just what people's clothes look like when they die. Like, you don't know.
No, he had
One second.
armor. He had this obelisk armor. It was biomechanical, and it did not look like samurai armor. So, but yeah, we're talking about Darth Bane tonight. And in typical You with Andrew fashion, I'm just going to tell the story because Drew and Jeremiah don't know the story of Darth Bane. What are you looking at me like that for,
Well,
Jeremiah?
I don't know. You're just like in typical fashion. Like this is your second run of the thing. Like,
Yeah, well, it's now typical fashion. We've solidified it as typical fashion because, like, I would say 99% of the EU with Andrew episodes, it's going to be the same.
right.
So, unfortunately, for everyone watching the video version of this podcast, there's no presentation. I had a presentation ready last time.
Oh.
There's no presentation because there is a significantly larger amount of information about Bane, especially in written media, than there is about Abeloth. And I started making the presentation and then realized very quickly, about 5 or 6 slides in, maybe four or five, that it was just going to be too much. And the Wikipedia article actually does a very, very good job of segmenting his life and giving a good summary. And I was like, why am I going to basically rewrite the Wikipedia article when I could just read the Wikipedia
Well,
article?
we don't
So,
want Wikipedia to take us down. You know.
yeah, well,
Oh, well,
to be fair, Wikipedia's information at some points is wrong. So
true.
I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there. For example,
Oh.
we'll hit one of those things pretty early on. I'll tell you when it's wrong. So, okay, so here's a brief, like 2-point overview to get everything started. So here's 2 things that you need to know that are like,
Would you say this is 2 rules? Rule of 2, something. I don't know.
yeah, it was good. It was a good
I
attempt.
tried to think it off, and then I said it
think-
wrong, and then
I think
whatever.
there will be other opportunities, and I don't mind you reusing that if it fits better.
Okay.
And I may even play the air horn for you.
Ooh, I got it.
So
Ooh.
who knows? Who knows?
Stay on your toes or your thumbs.
Yeah, you're not getting an air horn for that. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a quick sip of water. Okay.
What is your
so,
ice cube in there?
What is my ice cube?
It looks
It's just ice.
It looked one giant.
Looks like it's one giant like.
Well, that's what
is it?
happens when you put a bunch of ice cubes
Oh.
in water.
It looked
They
like one of
stick
those.
together.
It looked like one of those spiral fluorescent light bulbs floating in there. I'm like, why does he have a light bulb in his?
Well, you know, I
You
like to
know.
live. I like to live like Larry.
I don't know who Larry
SpongeBob?
is.
Anyone? That's fine.
I don't know anything
David will
about
get it. David will get it. It's fine. Okay, so here are your two things. One, timeline setting. So Bane's story takes place between the years of 1026 and 980 BBY. Okay, so this is very interesting. I was actually so I finished a book last night. I was like, oh, what am I going to read now? So I decided to reread the Bane trilogy. I was
Wait,
like, you know what?
Can you say those dates again?
1026 and 980 BBY.
Really? I
Yeah.
thought he was like way older than that.
See, here's the thing. So that's what I'm saying. I'm getting there. So in all the Legends books, they have a timeline, the Legends timeline at the beginning with rough dates of like when the periods are, what books take place, in what order. So here's the interesting thing. He is roughly 2,500 years after Revan, but roughly 1,000 years before the Phantom Menace. In the expanded universe timeline.
Okay, so it's like when Kiadi Mundi said the Sith have been extinct for a millennia, which is 1,000 years.
He's being correct.
He was referring to Darth Bane, probably.
Correct, because by all definition, by all the standards the Jedi knew, the Sith had gone extinct at that time. So one thing that's not a secret is that Bane pretty much wiped out all of the Sith almost at the same time. Not all, but pretty close. And to the knowledge of the greater galaxy at the time, because then it dropped from hundreds, if not thousands of Sith to 2, they did go extinct because they went into hiding. So,
Because David in the chat said the High Republic begins when Bane created the Rule of 2.
that would be, even though we would be combining the timelines, yes, because that was the beginning of the era of peace. It was the
Interesting.
last. It was the last kind of the Sith Empire and the Brotherhood of Darkness, which we'll get into. Their war with the Jedi and the Republic. That was kind of the last big war. And so the interesting thing in the Legends timeline is there is nothing, hardly not nothing, but there's hardly anything between this taking place, this trilogy of books, and the Phantom Menace. Which, if there's some retconning going on with like the expansion of the Outer Rim and the hyperspace lanes and stuff like that, because obviously in this book, all of those things are very well established. The Outer Rim is a thing. Hyperspace. I mean, it's like the same Star Wars universe, just older. So there has been some retconning, but it is theoretically possible if we were to change some details to fit the High Republic into the timeline, because there is nothing in that gap.
Right.
Because it happened so recently. The other thing that is very much worth noting is that the plan that in the expanded universe, the specifics of the plan that Plagueis and then Palpatine follow are directly related to this trilogy because of what Bane sets up. So there is, if you've read Plagueis, if you're more familiar with kind of the Sith going into hiding and doing their own thing while they were waiting 1,000 years to resurface again, there's a lot of continuity here that was set up very intentionally by the authors, which is super cool. So that's kind of the blurb about the timeline. The other thing is that obviously Bane created the rule of two. So he did in both the expanded universe and in canon, but very much so we have the details about how that was done in the expanded universe. And he is believed by many to be the Sith Ari, which is essentially the chosen one of the Sith.
Ooh.
So he was going in the Legends continuity. The Sith Ari is supposed to be this stupidly powerful, like way more than everyone else, Sith Lord who is going to destroy the Sith and build them back up under a new regime, a stronger regime. And it had been prophesied and all this. I mean, again, it's the chosen one, but just specifically for the Sith. And that's important because we could argue this, but really he is or was. So let's jump over and let's talk about something that is very interesting to me, and that is his early life. Because in the novel, you do get some of his life, a good amount of his life before he becomes the Sith Lord. So I'm going to read and I'll correct things as I see them. Okay. The human male who would become Darth Bane was born as Dessel on the Outer Rim planet of Apatros in 1026 BBY to an abusive miner named Hurst. Des, as he was nicknamed, was often bullied by his father and the other miners. Hurst blamed his son for the death of his wife, who had perished during childbirth. Hurst also took to blaming Dessel for his own miserable life on Apatros and considered his son to be the bane of his existence, so much so that he took to calling him Bane frequently. So it goes to say at the age of 16, he was actually 13, and I just read that part where he said in an inner monologue, I was 13 last night, so I it's not 16. But at the age of 13, Dessel began to work in the mines, the Cortosis mines of Apatros, under the direction of the Outer Rim Ore Works Company. He learned to fend for himself, ignoring the threats and insults hurled at him by his father and the other miners, and grew into a muscular young man as he worked deep in the Cortosis mines. One of Dessel's few friends, Groshik, the Nemoidian owner of the local cantina, Dessel's few friends. This doesn't make any sense. Basically, he was really good friends with a Nemoidian named Groshik, who ran the local cantina. Unknown to anyone, Dessel was force sensitive, and he occasionally felt the call of the Force's dark side. So a bit of background about Cortosis and this mining colony on Apatros. First of all, Cortosis, do you guys you familiar with cortosis?
No.
Okay. Cortosis is a metal that is highly, 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 more so than any other metal in the expanded universe galaxy, resistant to metal. To energy, to energy like blasts, lightsabers, that sort of thing.
So like Beskar kind of.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I'm really wondering if they got the whole idea for Beskar, like what it is as it, in its current state, from Cortosis, because the Sith and the Republic alike would use it to weave into their armor. They would put it in the holes of their ships. You know, like it was very, very highly sought after. But it was also extremely difficult to mine for the same reasons. You couldn't use a plasma torch. You couldn't use any energy-based tools. Like they were useless. So you had to take this 60-pound hydraulic jack and go in and manually chip away at it, which is why Bane and the other miners were all like stupidly muscular, because like the shifts are like 6 hours long. They're in the mines. They're just grinding away at it. And you were paid for what you brought back. So the longer you were there, the more you brought back, the more you earned. This is important because the Outer Rim Ore Works Company, or ORO for short, basically held you in bondage based off your debt. So you would begin to accrue debt. They would sell things on a pot. So a Patros was like, there's nothing there. There was a small mining community of a few hundred people, a cantina, a small spaceport, and then a general store that sold things at ridiculously high markups because they could, and they would accept it in exchange for more debt. So the whole idea of this mining colony was to get people into debt and then keep them there, because the longer they were in debt, the longer they had to work for the company, the longer the mines ran. It was a self-fulfilling cycle. And so Hearst, Dess's father, was big into gambling, accrued up a bunch of debt, and was probably going to end up being there for the rest of his life had the next part of the story not happened. But that's kind of the whole thing, is like the living conditions were terrible. It wasn't very sanitary at all. Like the filters in their masks were subpar. So a lot of people, like the reason why Bane is bald in the expanded universe is because
Bald or smooth?
he's smooth.
Smooth? Okay.
He's a smooth guy. But it wasn't by his own choice, because their hair would fall out because of the toxins.
That's exciting.
The filter,
Ew.
yeah. The filters wouldn't, like, they had substandard equipment, so the filters wouldn't catch everything. They would get sick. Like, even if you got out of the mines, you were able to pay your debt off and go out. There's a part where he's like, yeah, not many people have very long lives after that because they just get sick.
It was like
Like
mining in real life, like
Yeah.
coal miners and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So, anyways, there's some backstory, and then of course there's Groshik, and he's a Nemoidian bartender, and he befriends Des because he watches him grow up there on the planet and all that stuff. One day when Dessel was 18, a drunk Hearst berated him until Dessel stood up to his father and challenged him to a fight. Irate, Hearst beat him until his rib cracked, although Dessel withstood the pain without sound. That night, Dessel, filled with hate, envisioned his father dying by picturing a giant hand squeezing his heart. The next morning, Hearst was dead. Unknown to Dessel, he had used the Force to kill his father.
Oh, dang.
Hearst, yeah. Which, you know that ahead of time, but in the book, it like the realization hits way later, and it's really fascinating. Yeah, he never realizes it. After Hearst's death, his friends continued with their harassment of Dessel, but the young miner now had the confidence to stand up for himself and proceeded to best many of them in fights until they learned to leave him alone. On the 5th anniversary of Hearst's death, a man named Gerd, who had been friends with Hearst, decided that he would put Dessel in his place. In a drunken stupor, Gerd attacked Dessel and attempted to gouge out one of his eyes. With a forced premonition granted by the dark side, Dessel severed Gerd's thumb with his teeth.
That's
So there you
exciting.
go. There's the moment. It happens pretty early in the book, and he's like, "Yep, I'm not one to like do that," but he tried to gouge out my eye, so I bit off his thumb. Completely severed it with his jaws. It's crazy.
Ew.
I
Yeah.
heard that it's not that hard to actually bite your finger off. I heard it from a nurse that's the same as biting through a carrot,
Huh?
But your brain prevents you from doing that.
supposedly. But if you could,
You want to try it, Jeremiah?
no.
Oh, okay.
All right. Anyways, he got.
I already did.
Oh, holding up your finger. Okay. So he got off his shift early, nonetheless. He was told to leave early. Returning to town, Dessel. This doesn't make any. The grammar here is like really bad. So basically, he returns to town, and there is a Galactic Republic cargo ship there.
Ooh, exciting.
So they would every few days would come and get Cortos's shipments and do that stuff. So there would be a small contingent of Republic officers. They would come, they would drink, they would play sabacc and pazak, and then they would leave. Dessel began playing sabacc in Groshik's cantina against the other miners and a group of Republic soldiers who were there to pick up Cortos's shipments. A skilled gambler, Dessel proceeded to win many rounds while also tossing frequent barbs at the Republic to the soldiers in the cantina. Successfully driving every other player out of the game, Dessel played his final hand against a young ensign, and both ended up with an idiot's array, the rarest hand possible. In a final round where whoever was dealt the highest card would win, both players received 9. In the next sudden death round, Dessel got a 9, beating the ensign's 8 and giving him sabacc and the 10,000 credit sabacc pot.
Wow.
So the only thing you need to know is that the sabacc pot grew with each round. The maximums that you could like earn in a hand were set super low because ORO didn't want people winning it big and getting their debt paid off early. But the sabacc pot was untouchable and it would grow, and so he ends up winning 10,000 credits, which is huge. The irate ensign attempted to attack Dessel, but was stopped by Groshik. Groshik also ordered everyone but Dessel out and explained to the human that he was worried. Dessel had somehow played the soldiers, twisting them to his advantage and never relenting. Furthermore, the crowd had somehow fed off of Dessel's anger, Groshik believed. So he was kind of like seeping dark side mojo the whole time. Dessel reassured his friend, but the Nemoidian warned him to be careful. As Dessel left the cantina, he was attacked by the ensign and the two other soldiers. Easily dominated by the miner in physical combat, the ensign pulled a vibroblade. However, Dessel's unconscious use of the force allowed him to detect the weapon. Reacting without thinking, Dessel stabbed the ensign with his own weapon, killing the soldier. Panicked, the other two Republic soldiers fled to alert their superiors. The miner was forced to turn to Groshik, who used his contacts to save Dessel from being caught and imprisoned by the Republic forces by arranging to have him smuggled off planet to join the Sith. The enemies of the Jedi and the Republic engaged in a prolonged war with him. So
So who was it that smuggled him off?
The Nemoidian barkeeper. His only friend, Groshik.
And then you said finished with, they brought him to the Sith to join the Sith.
So there was a Sith ship there, or some smugglers that were smuggling something to the Sith.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, okay, well, you're in trouble with the law, so you have to leave. 2, you can't go with the Republic because that's who you're in trouble with. So your only option, I have a contact that can take you to the Sith. Do you want out or what? And Des didn't really have a great opinion of the Republic, anyways. Like the insults he throws out like during the game, it's pretty hilarious. He's shutting them up pretty frequently. They're like, well, what about this? The Sith of this, blah, 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 blah. He has rebuttals for all of it. It's actually kind of hilarious. So There you go. Any questions so far?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Next section, the New Sith Wars. Dessel was hidden aboard a Rhodian starship and taken to join the Brotherhood of Darkness as a foot soldier. So the Brotherhood of Darkness, I'm going to give you a brief summary here. It was an organization of Sith that rose to power in the last decade of the Galactic Republic's Dark Age, founded by former Jedi Master turned Dark Lord of the Sith, Skier Khan. The Brotherhood took the place of the fragmented Sith Empire after slaughtering many of its most powerful lords, forming the Dark Army, a force of warriors and soldiers meant to rain fire upon public worlds. The Brotherhood existed under the leadership of the Sith Council of Lords, constantly warring with the Jedi Order's Army of Light until both armies were utterly decimated at the 7th Battle of Rusan. So basically, this Jedi Master defect brought all of the major Sith Lords together because there was so much infighting in the Sith Empire. He was like, okay, we're going to put our differences aside. We're going to become one. Like, even if you've got rivalries, we're going to become one kind of massive dark side force. And it became called the Brotherhood of Darkness.
Exciting.
Yep. So Des becomes a foot soldier in the Sith army. He quickly rose to the rank of sergeant in a Sith unit known as the Gloomwalkers. He became a skilled shot. The use of the Force made him an adept soldier and commander, and he was able to guide his unit away from death many times, such as during the Battle of Kashyyyk.
So are all these members Force sensitive, Dark Force users?
No.
Okay.
So it was the Sith army at this time, and in many times in the expanding universe, was very similar to the army of the Republic, where it would be like if the Empire had a bunch of Sith Lords leading it. So it would be like a bunch of people who were enlisted as soldiers, as like normal soldiers. They were people, like just like you and I, not Force sensitive, but then they had the Sith Lords leading as their generals or their commanders. I mean, obviously there were a lot more Sith at that time, so they had the ability to spread them out more evenly. But yeah, that's a good question though. For his actions, Dessel earned the trust of the Gloomwalkers over that of the unit's commander, who took credit for his unit's victories, which had been enabled by Dessel. So there's some tension there. The Gloomwalkers soon became one of the most skilled Sith infantry units, and they were sent on the most critical missions. However, things changed for Dessel after the Gloomwalkers received an order regarding the Battle of Fasira. The commander knew the order to be a tactical mistake, but planned to follow it anyway since he was afraid to face the Sith Lord who had issued the command. Dessel mutinied and punched the commander in the face, knocking him out cold, and then proceeded to lead the squad into battle. After being blinded by a flash grenade, Dessel discovered that he could still, quote, see where all the Republic soldiers were. Thanks to this mysterious sight, he managed to kill each soldier with a sniper rifle in the space of a few seconds.
Dang.
Though he did not know it at all at the time, he had unconsciously used the Force. After the battle, Dessel discovered that the commander had informed the Sith Lord Kopix of his actions. Expecting to be court-martialed, Dessel was saved from this fate by the Dark Lord, who offered to take him to Korriban, where he could enroll in the Sith Academy. Dessel decided to accept Kopix's offer. Having been offered the chance to create a new identity for himself, he thought back to the cruelty of his father and decided to take a new name, which would signify his new life, Bane. So basically, he kept using the Force. It's kind of like, you know how Harry Potter, Harry uses magic. You know what I'm talking about, Drew.
Yes.
He'll like use magic randomly, especially when it's tied to like emotional experiences. It's the same thing, but Des was using the Force.
Yeah, like he didn't know that he was able to do it essentially, and he was just doing it.
Well, he like there's some moments during this part where it's like, yeah, like I get these premonitions and I don't know where they're from, but I learned pretty quickly to follow them because they help me out. Or like during the scene where he's fighting Gerd, and the thumb is coming, it talks about how he's like, he was trying to gouge out my eyes, and my next move, I knew exactly where the thumb was going to be, almost as if he could see it ahead of time, as clear as day. Like he describes being familiar enough with these things that he uses them to his advantage when they happen, but he can't control it. He doesn't really have a good idea of what it is. So like, that's the reason why he was blinded by a flashbang, but he he snipes a bunch of guys super fast with a rifle, and then like everybody's like, yo, what the heck was that? Because none of them could see. So all right, any questions?
No.
Okay, cool. Bane arrived at the academy and immediately began to study the ways of the Sith under Sith Lords Cordus and Qasim. On his own initiative, he also frequently studied the archives in the Sith Academy, which contain documents about the dark side and the history of the Sith. However, the Sith masters discouraged the studying of the archives, claiming that they were relics of a time long forgotten.
Then why
Thanks-
have them? Why?
Your
If
guess is as
it
good as
doesn't
mine.
matter, throw them out. Throw them in the
Yeah.
garbage bin. Like,
It's like they didn't want to get rid of the history, but they were like, don't worry about that. You just need to know how to fight really well. Thanks in part to the master's advice, Bane began to abandon the archives he studied at the beginning of his training in favor of increased focus on physical and mental exercise. Despite the late discovery of his force sensitivity, Bane began to exceed many of the students who had been trained since birth. After training for several months and rapidly climbing to the top of the ranks of the students, Bane challenged to a duel a Makurth student named Fakhar. I'm going to butcher some of these names.
Lord
Who-
Farquhar?
Fahark, who had previously beaten him.
Farkas from Christmas
Ficus?
Story.
Ficus? Lord
Ficus?
Ficus.
FICA score. Isn't that his
Lord
name?
Farquhar.
So he basically, this guy had previously beaten him in combat. After beating Bane in lightsaber combat, he had began to taunt him, causing Bane to fill with rage. He unleashed his anger, killing him with a wave of dark force energy against Qasim's instructions. This victory earned Bane the attention of the Sirak, the favorite of Lord Cordus and one of the most prominent students at the academy. He was believed at the time by the students to be the Sith Ari. So it was the Zabrak. He's like the hot stuff at the academy, and he hadn't paid attention to Bane at all until he killed this other dude. Though Bane expected to be punished for killing a fellow student, Cordus instead was impressed by Bane and began urging the Blade Master Qasim to pay special attention to Bane. So before we move on, a quick note about the lightsaber training and the way that they trained at the Sith Academy. They trained with metal blades. They were dulled metal blades. They were balanced and created to mimic the weight of a lightsaber, but they had barbs on them that contained some sort of a poison. I forget. It's from like I don't know. It's like a sea urchin or something. It's from an animal. It had some poison, and it would be immensely painful if you got hit with it. And then it would completely make whatever appendage it hit go numb. So it was essentially like you lost a limb.
Oh, okay.
And so
Like permanently numb? Or would it come back?
No. You recovered, but it was like there's no way you're finishing. Like if you got hit in your right arm, you couldn't use that arm.
Gotcha.
You'd have to go left-handed. If you lost that, I mean, it was like when you used to play as a kid. It's like you lost your left arm. Now you lost your right, and you got to use your feet.
Yep.
Like it's the same thing, except it hurt like hell. And it was described as being extremely painful. And then, of course, you lose the ability to lose your limb, which is embarrassing. And when you're there, surrounded by people who are literally looking for every chance they can get to undermine you or stab you in the back because they're Sith, it's even worse. So that's why they were able to fight and, for the most part, not die. So Cordus, you'll hear his name a lot. He's kind of I guess he focused on more of the mental and spiritual aspects of the Force in his teaching. And Qasim was a blade. He was very powerful in his own right in that respect, but he was also the blade master of the academy. So he was like, he had mastered all 7 forms of lightsaber combat and was like arguably the most skilled duelist there and in the Brotherhood, which was really cool. There's obviously, if you read the books, there's way more detail behind all of these people. But okay, so the victory where he killed the guy left Bane shaken. The Sith apprentice realized that he had been responsible for the death of his father years before. This revelation caused Bane to doubt the Master's teachings and began to fear the power of the dark side. As a result, he also started to lose his connection to it. Realizing that unless he acted quickly, he would fall behind the other students, he challenged Sirac. So he panicked and challenged the most accomplished student in the academy. The Zabrak easily bested Bane, nearly killing him. Like, beat him to a pulp. Like, he had to go like sit in a back to chamber. It was pretty bad. After his loss, Bane was shunned by the other Sith. Desperate, he turned to the archives once more. From them, he learned more about the history of the Sith and the power of the dark side. Bane began to question the direction of the Brotherhood of Darkness, and he seemed especially interested in finding out why none of the current Sith Lords took the title Darth. He began to believe that the Brotherhood was inherently flawed and ruled by pretenders. Upon questioning Qasim later, Bane learned that the leader of the Brotherhood of Darkness, Lord Skir Khan, had forbidden any Sith from taking the title Darth, as he claimed that the use of this title would only encourage the infighting that had once destroyed the Sith thousands of years, or nearly destroyed the Sith thousands of years earlier.
What was the Khan's name? What was the first?
Skir?
What's the one from the Jungle Book?
I don't know.
Shere Khan.
Shere Khan? Okay, I was like,
Spelled a little differently. It's Skere, Skir, and then Kaan, Khan. During this time, a Jedi deserter named Githany arrived to the academy, and Bane saw his chance to reclaim his place among the other students. Githany, in turn, saw Bane as a tool she could use against Sirac, her only real rival at the academy, requesting that Githany secretly teach him Force techniques she learned from the Masters, because the Masters had completely disregarded him, like they wouldn't teach him anymore. Bane also began private lightsaber combat instruction with Qasim. Neither teacher was aware of the other, ensuring that Bane had an edge over both. Bane and Githany soon began to realize that they had feelings for each other, though neither wanted to admit it. As his training progressed, Bane learned far more from the archives at the academy than he originally thought possible, and continued supplementing his knowledge of the Force with the teachings of the ancient Sith. Bane mastered many Force powers while perfecting his lightsaber techniques. When he believed himself to be ready, Bane once again challenged Sirac to a duel. The human played his opponent, wearing him down before wounding him, sending a humiliated Sirac to the medical wing. Following this victory, Qasim presented Bane with a curved hilt lightsaber that had previously belonged to his master, a Sith Lord named Nadaz, who saved the Blade Master from slavery on Ryloth, because Qasim is Twi'lek.
ooh.
Yep. Qasim also revealed that he had killed his master in a personal test of skill and took his weapon as a reminder of what his master taught him. This revelation left a lasting impression on Bane. So Bane has a curved lightsaber hilt.
Exciting.
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty cool stuff.
So does he just have the one lightsaber, like in
Yes.
his career? Okay.
Yeah. No. Honestly, I don't remember. Because I know that there's some quite a few pictures of him with a purple blade, and there's also some pictures of him with a red blade. I honestly don't remember off the top of my head. It's been like a few years since I've read these books, which is why I'm rereading them now. Once again, under the gaze of the Academy Masters, Bane was summoned by Cordus, who revealed to the apprentice that he had been aware for some time that Githany was teaching him. Cordus had then told Bane that he was to stop studying the archives. Bane, whose doubts about the Brotherhood had only grown, was angered and defied Cordus by leaving the Academy for the Valley of the Dark Lords in search of answers from the tombs of long-dead Sith Lords. However, Bane found no Sith spirits in the tomb, concluding that they had judged the current Sith to be weak and unworthy. Bane believed that the Brotherhood was flawed and that Khan placed the greater good of the Order over the dark side as a whole, preventing the Sith from defeating the Jedi Order. Nearly dead from exhaustion and hunger, Bane returned to the Academy 2 weeks later to learn that the students were to be raised to the level of Dark Lords of the Sith on the orders of Lord Khan, and were to be sent to the planet Rusan to participate in a battle against the Jedi Army of Light. Bane was greeted by Githany, who informed him of the news and led him to the archives. Unknown to Bane, she had secretly entered into an allegiance with Sirak, who wished to kill him. In the archives, Bane was attacked by Sirak and his allies. However, Githany betrayed Sirak by giving Bane his lightsaber and entering the fight on his side. She killed the two allies while Bane disarmed his rival. Sirak begged for mercy, claiming that if Bane spared him, the Zabrak would serve him. Ignoring his pleas, Bane decapitated Sirak, releasing all of his fears and guilt in the process and fully opening himself to the dark side.
So that was 3-on-2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. As Githany proclaimed that the two were now Dark Lords bound for Rusan, Bane explained to her that he planned to go elsewhere. He denounced Khan's Brotherhood, even when Githany praised Khan and begged him to wait. Marching to Cordus's chamber, Bane confronted the Sith Lord, asking if he had ordered Sirak to kill him. Cordus was horrified that Bane had killed one of the Academy's most skilled students. However, Bane ignored this anger, denouncing Cordus and the Brotherhood. The human headed for the rooftop, where Cordus's personal starship, the Valsen, was docked. Boarding it, Bane set a course for the planet Lehan in the unknown regions, hoping to find the true understanding of the dark side. Anything? Any questions?
So
Comments?
basically, if Han Solo and Leia made their own planet, they would call it
Get out.
Lehan.
Boo. Okay, first of all, it's Lehon. Lehan.
You said Lehan, didn't you?
Lehan.
Yeah, he did.
It's on. It's
On,
it's
off.
an O and an A. It doesn't matter.
Han,
But-
Han.
Oh Lord.
I look down. Definitely, someone. View Twist is. He's definitely read these because that's hilarious. Because he's like Rancor is coming up. He's right.
Ooh, spoiler alert.
Yeah. After landing on After landing, Bane began his search for the Temple of the Ancients, and along the way, he managed to tame a wild Rancor to be used as his steed.
Ooh.
That's
What
cool.
other Sith Lords have ridden on the back of a Rancor? Not many, I'll tell you that much.
But how many fought it like Wrecker though?
True.
That was a baby.
That was
So
a big
Rancor is
baggie.
Still a big baby.
How many people have killed a bull Rancor on Felucia?
How many people have killed a Rancor?
There's like 4. 3 or 4 that I can think of. Anyways. Okay, he felt a much stronger connection to the dark side on Lehan, doesn't matter, than he did on Korriban, which reinforced his belief that the Brotherhood was flawed. Once he made his way to the temple, Bane began searching for any dark side relics. Though the temple appeared empty, he sensed a great power hidden there, and so continued to search until he located a holocron that had been created by the Sith Lord. You ready? Darth Revan. A millennia ago. Yeah. Thrilled at having his faith rewarded, Bane activated the holocron and spent several weeks studying it. From the holocron, Bane learned a tremendous deal about the dark side and the Sith, more than he had learned in his entire time at the Academy, he felt.
Makes sense.
Yep. The knowledge he gained from this holocron validated his view that the Brotherhood needed to be destroyed for the Sith to conquer the Jedi. Meanwhile, Khan, fearful of Bane and his intentions, dispatched Qasim from Rusan to kill his former students. Remember, this is the Blade Master,
Oh.
the Twi'lek Blade Master. Thanks to Githany, who had a vision of Bane, Khan knew where to send the Blade Master. The Twi'lek Master made his way to the planet and then confronted Bane in the temple, revealing that he intended to kill him. After a heated lightsaber duel, Bane gained the upper hand and forced Qasim into a corner. However, the Blade Master split his double-bladed lightsaber, wielding it as two separate blades. During training, Qasim had always derided fighting with two lightsabers, ensuring Bane had no experience facing such an opponent. While Bane had been sure of victory only moments before, his inexperience put him at a severe disadvantage, and he quickly lost his momentum. Bane was sent tumbling down the staircase. So think of this temple as like a big Aztec, like Yavin 4 type temple. So he like gets yeeted down some pretty
Well,
They're
stairs.
pretty steep stairs, pretty much.
Would it have been more kind of similar to the temple on Malachor that we see in Rebels? Is it like that?
Yeah. It's the same vibe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good call, Jeremiah.
Good call. Yeah, that was good.
Brr, brr, brr.
Okay. Quickly, Bane was sent tumbling down a staircase as Qasim advanced, ready to deliver the killing blow. Furious at himself and Qasim, Bane remembered that he knew the layout of the temple, an advantage the Blade Master lacked. He unleashed his anger into a blast of dark side force energy, and though Qasim managed to throw up a force shield to protect himself, the blast caused the temple to collapse on the Twi'lek, killing him.
Ooh.
Bane then dispatched a messenger drone to Rusan, informing Khan of Qasim's death and handing the Sith Lord instructions to perform the Sith ritual to make a thought bomb, one of the many secrets he learned from Revan's holocron. The Dark Lord kept this secret from the other Sith.
Thought bomb.
Yeah.
Do we learn more about that, or what is it?
Oh, you're going to learn a lot about that. And I'm going to tell you that this is like, one, Bane knew exactly what he was doing when he sent him this. Okay. Two, this is arguably one of the most terrifying force abilities you'll ever hear about. So stay tuned for that. I looked down. Tanner, good old thought bomb, freaking iconic. Well, you know. Okay, so by then, Khan believed that a military victory on Rusan was certain. An orbital blockade sustained by the Sith Battle Armada kept Jedi reinforcements from landing on the planet. Not long after sending Qasim after Bane, Khan received a message from the disillusioned Sith, who stated that he wished to return to the Brotherhood. However, Githany believed that the Brotherhood no longer needed Bane and offered to kill him. Believing Bane to be a threat, Khan agreed, and she left to meet her former love interest. Bane chose the barren world of Ambria to meet Khan's envoy. Lake Nath, a body of black poisonous water, had become a focus for the dark side energy on the planet, and Bane made his camp on its shores. While Bane waited for Githany, he considered a question that he could still not answer. Once he had eliminated the Brotherhood, where would he find an apprentice worthy of the knowledge he had to impart? When Githany arrived, they shared a passionate kiss, but Bane tasted poison on her lips and realized that Khan had sent her to Ambria to kill him, although he kept this realization a secret. Seeing that Githany understood the source of the strength in the dark side, Bane wondered if she could become his apprentice. He realized, though, that she believed too strongly in Khan and the Brotherhood to accept his knowledge, and he sent her away, confident that her poison would have no effect on him. After Githany left, Bane realized that she had tricked him and that she had used a lesser poison to cover a far more powerful toxin on her lips, Synox. though he attempted to strengthen himself by drinking in the suffering of those who died on the battlefield on Ambria. The dark side was too faint on the planet. Falling into unconsciousness, Bane collapsed. A small boy named Mickey, along with his father and brothers who were scavenging the battlefield, happened across Bane's lightsaber. Seeing his chance, Bane used the Force to control the lightsaber and kill the boys. In doing so, he absorbed the father's horror and suffering, using it to temporarily give him strength. Still feeding on the man's fear, Bane killed him, ignoring his pleas for mercy. Strengthened by their pain, Bane was able to hold off the poison for long enough to locate the healer Caleb, who had come to the planet to help the victims of the recent battle. Upon finding the healer, Bane found that he refused to give the Sith Lord assistance. Infuriated, Bane considered forcing the man to help him, but found that his will was strong enough to resist the Sith Lord's mental prodding. However, Bane sensed the presence of another individual, Caleb's daughter, and threatened to torture her unless the healer assisted him. Caleb relented and healed Bane, leaving him fully revitalized. Before departing for Rusan, Bane considered killing Caleb, but decided against it, realizing that the man could be of use to him at a later date. So that's really sad because he definitely straight up slaughters a family just because he's in pain.
GG.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of a horrifying spot in the story for sure. There's a comic that it's called the Jedi. It's like a Dark Horse thing from way back in the day called Jedi versus the Sith versus the Jedi, that came out before these books did, that actually detail some of these things. So the books actually retcon some of what happened in the comics, but this scene is in there, and it's really sad. it's really sad. But you know what isn't sad? Is never sad and always brings joy to my heart and my belly.
What's that?
Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. And it just so happens that Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea is the sponsor of today's episode. So let's take a quick break and listen to a word from that sponsor. Hey everyone, Andrew here. I'm pleased to tell you that the sponsor for today's episode is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. If you don't know anything about Wesley Andrews,
Save
you
it for the
definitely
end.
should.
Save
They're
it for the
an award-winning coffee
end.
roaster and shop in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they make fantastic coffee. The awesome thing is
How
that
many
they
you
have a
got?
subscription service that gets those amazing
Oh,
coffees delivered to your door.
yes.
Either weekly,
Yep,
or
we're-
both of them, or a
we're doing
monthly
that.
basis. Unfortunately, we're all being negatively affected by this virus right now. With that being said, what a better time to try some new coffee and support a local business. I know they'll greatly appreciate it, and we will
too.
After all, using the code Empire Radio with a capital E and a capital R with no space at checkout, when you start a new subscription at wesleyandrews.cc, you'll get 50% off your first
Someone just sent a
purchase.
voicemail
I can't
from
think of a better
Drew.
deal. Get 50% off and support a local Minneapolis coffee shop.
It sure it's on
Support
Drew's
your
mic.
favorite Star Wars podcast.
It just says
In
Drew.
the words of Emperor Palpatine, do it.
Drew's mic's been quiet for a while. Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Get some coffee. Drew, what were you saying? Drew, what about your mic?
It's been quiet for a while.
Oh,
Did you put some WD-40 on that?
No. I just don't touch it.
that's good. That's good. Okay, so fun fact. We have a lot. We still have a lot of stuff to go.
Are we
Go
gonna
to.
do a part 2 in the future? Is it so long?
No. We're gonna get through this tonight, but we still have a lot to go through. We still technically haven't ended the first book yet.
So we're an hour in, and we still have 2.5 books. And
No. Look, we'll get through it.
okay,
Some of these parts get shorter. Like someone clearly, when writing this article, was like, you know what, we're just gonna summarize a little bit more.
They're like,
yeah. Okay. So, any questions about where we're at so far? Anybody? Are we enjoying
So
it? Is it crazy? Is
so
it interesting?
It's really
So-
interesting.
so Bane is on the run basically from the rest of the Sith
No.
army, or what was it? What are
So
they
he's
called? The
the
Brotherhood of.
of Darkness. So he's not on the run because the Brotherhood is kind of made up of a bunch of wimps. Like they're powerful Force users, but like they don't have what it takes to be like true ruthless Sith. He's not on the run. He more so denounced them, and then Lord Khan like tried two really lame attempts at trying to kill him, but it didn't work because of how powerful he was. So he's not really on the run, but at the same time, he's definitely not friendly with the Brotherhood of Darkness.
Right.
I mean, Khan did send his Blade Master after him, and it did not work. So if you send your Blade Master and it doesn't work, it's like, well, where do you go from there? Obviously, they tried poison, that didn't work. He got healed, so which is right where we left off. So now healed, Bane headed for Rusan, where he planned to initiate his plot to destroy Khan's Brotherhood. During a tactical planning session among the Dark Lords, Bane revealed himself, much to the surprise of the Sith. Bane proceeded to mock Khan and the other Sith, accusing them of acting like cowards and holding back from the true power of the dark side. He then offered an alternative method to defeat the Jedi, a Force wave. Khan agreed to Bane's plan, and at nightfall, Bane met the others atop a cliff overlooking the forest where the Jedi were hiding. Bane led the Sith in a ritual designed to concentrate the power of the dark side in one being, Bane, and unleash its power on the Jedi. With Bane as the conduit, the Sith Lord released an inferno upon the forest. As the forest burned, the Jedi were forced to flee to the plains nearby to avoid destruction. However, before Bane could wipe out the Jedi, the ritual was cut short. Fearing the power that had been revealed to him, Khan had ended the ceremony, using his connection to the other Dark Lords to pull them out as well, announcing that they would board their speeders and defeat the Jedi using more conventional methods. Bane was furious. As Githany tried to justify Khan's actions by claiming that this way was more fun, Bane realized that she was not fit to be his apprentice. She had been corrupted by Khan. Kopex was the last Sith to leave on his speeder, informing Bane that his loyalty to the dark side before the Brotherhood would not be accepted by the Sith Lords. Bane then traveled back to the Sith compound to continue his plan to destroy the Brotherhood. Arriving back at the deserted camp, Bane was confronted by Cordis, who offered his allegiance, claiming that he saw Bane's real purpose for coming to Rusan. Bane was intrigued until Cordis revealed that he could help Bane overthrow Khan and seize control of the Brotherhood. The Dark Lord then informed the former Academy head that he was mistaken. He had come not to take control of the Brotherhood of Darkness, but to destroy it. He then attacked Cordis with the Force, wounding him. When Cordis begged Bane to let him die in lightsaber combat, claiming it was more honorable, Bane mocked him and continued to choke him until he died. After Cordis, Bane entered Khan's tent and contacted Admiral Adriana Nyris, who was in control of the Sith fleet, stationed in orbit holding back the Jedi reinforcements. Bane ordered Admiral Nyris to engage the fleet, despite the fact that doing so would allow the Jedi reinforcements to reach the surface in dropships. Nyris obeyed the Sith Lord's orders, and as the two fleets met, several smaller ships with Jedi on board were able to reach the surface. The Jedi immediately came to the aid of Hoth, which General Hoth, he was a Jedi Master, and he was like the golden boy and like the main leader of the Republic forces. Super good tactician, very strong in the Force as a Jedi, great fighter. Kind of a really loose association would be maybe like the Avar Chris of that time. He's kind of the hero person.
And at this time, how numerous are the Jedi?
They're at their height still. I mean, there's thousands of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean they're.
Would you say he's a little cold?
It took you too long to get that.
Anyways, the Jedi immediately came to the aid of Hoth, forcing the Sith to retreat from what had seemed like a certain victory. When Khan returned to the camp, Bane confronted him, admitting that he had ordered the Sith fleet to break their blockade. Bane suggested that a hopeless Khan used the thought bomb to destroy the Army of Light while manipulating him to believe that he intended to take over the Brotherhood. So already, like, Bane is completely different from the rest of the Sith. He's cunning. He's playing a long game. He's manipulating things in the background. He's also like fully embraced like the crazy powerful side of the dark side. You know, obviously the holocron and all of his, you know, research in the archives. Like, oh, that's interesting. Sorry, I looked down to the chat. No way, he's too rash to be Avar. He's Elzar. I could see that. Thanks, DVU Twist. Anyways, but he obviously has some crazy abilities that the other Sith Lords don't have because of his research. Khan then played his trump card, using a mind trick to convince Bane that the other Sith did not trust him and that he was not fit to rule. Khan planned to lead the Lords into a cave where they would lure the Jedi and then unleash the thought bomb to annihilate them and claim victory. He also ordered Bane to remain at the camp. After the defeat of the Army of Light, Khan planned to return and have the Sith Lords kill the most powerful Darksider, or kill the powerful Darksider in Bane. He's talking about Bane. Unknown to Khan, Bane was able to easily resist his mind tricks and was merely feigning obedience. Khan believed he had tricked Bane and was also convinced that he and the other Sith Lords could survive the thought bomb. Oof, that was a big mistake-y. Khan and the other members of the Order made their way to a series of caves nearby, planning to allow the Jedi to follow them. A number of Jedi followed the Sith, confronting them deep underground. However, the Jedi were unable to stop Khan from detonating the thought bomb, which killed all the Force sensitives in the cave. Several kilometers away, Bane sensed the bomb's detonation. Unaware of Bane's existence, the Jedi believed that all the Sith had died within the cave.
Do we get an explanation of what this thought bomb is yet?
Oh, you will.
Because I thought it was like a Force thing, but you're just saying it's like an actual physical thing.
Yes and yes.
Duh.
Yeah. So let me. I'm gonna see if there's like an official definition before I butcher this, but it's okay. The thought bomb was a result of an ancient ritual that, though through the focused willpower of many unified Sith Lords, unleashed the full volatility of the dark side of the Force. When detonated, a thought bomb annihilated the entirety, corporal and non-corporal, of every Force-sensitive being caught within its blast radius and absorbed their fragmented souls into a swirling vortex of perpetual torment that resolved into an orb of silver iridescence. So think of like a mercury, like a big mercury orb floating above ground.
Mm.
The ability to wield such destructive power originated with the ancient Sith. So while the ability to wield such destructive power originated with the ancient Sith, the thought bomb's origins dated back to the ritual of Nathema and saw the Sith Lord Vitiate consume an entire world. And its details were discovered during the Jedi Civil War by the Dark Lord of the Sith, the Dark Revan, who recorded the secrets of its creation within his Sith holocron. So there's sorry, there was something down there in the chat that caught my attention. So the thought bomb, they get together, they create the bomb through the Force, and then they detonate it. Every Force user in its radius, their physical bodies get destroyed instantly, and their souls are through the Force are pulled into this thing, and
Wow.
you are left in an eternal loop of torment and despair. So think of it like,
Sounds broken.
dude, think of it like you get stuck in hell just in a loop for all of eternity, and you can't, like, there's no way to get out. Isn't that terrifying?
So it's like
sing-
they can never become force ghosts.
dude, they don't do anything except for they're just tormented. So think about like how eerie it is. The Sith are like they detonate this thing, and I forget what it looks like before it detonates, but it's like an energy looking based thing, and then all of a sudden no one's there. It's just dead quiet, and everyone, including everyone, all of the Sith who had a part in detonating the bomb, and then all you see is a glowing silver orb hovering above the ground.
So why is it called a thought bomb? Is it like thought, like thinking thought, or is it spelled different?
No, it's spelled the same, but it's kind of along the lines of like the Force and thinking, and like so
They
much of it was
think
based
to
on
put-
telepathy and
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Um,
It took a lot of thought to put it together. Okay, Jeremiah.
Right.
yeah. It was it's kind of crazy, and Bane knew exactly what he was doing too when he gave it to him. He's like, "Oh no, this is gonna work. You're gonna be fine. You'll kill all the Jedi," but really he orchestrated all of the Sith Lords, the remaining Sith Lords,
To go.
and a large fraction of Jedi to go into these caves and detonate it, and he was the only Sith Lord left.
That's exciting.
So he just created the rule of two. Kind of.
Kind of.
He was definitely the last one left. Okay. However, though Bane had successfully executed his plan, he still needed an apprentice. Exploring the planet in the aftermath of the Rusan campaign, he encountered a young, force-sensitive girl named Xana. Xana had been taken to the planet by the Jedi several months earlier, but it had been separated from them, and had spent all her time on Rusan merely trying to survive. She had befriended a bouncer named La, who helped protect her. So a bouncer, not a club bouncer.
I'm just thinking of a big dude like sitting
Bouncers,
there. You can
bouncers
come.
were like force sensitive, sentient beings. Kind of like a floating orb in the air that had like a little bit of a face, kind of a thing. It
Do they bounce
bonded
around
with kind of like this.
like a ball?
No, it didn't actually bounce, but
Oh,
it's kind of, yeah. Bouncers were a native sentient species of Rusan. Glob-like creatures, they could receive their name from their method of locomotion propelled by the wind.
oh, so they kind of did.
They bounced themselves off obstacles to reach great heights. Their bodies were covered in green fur, and numerous tentacles grew from their body, of which half ended in delta-shaped appendages capable of digging and riding in the ground.
I'm just picturing a Furby. That's all I'm thinking.
It's kind of like that. However, two Jedi had mistakenly killed her friend, Xana's friend, causing her to lash out in anger and kill them. Upon finding her, Bane sensed her force potential as well as the anger inside her. In addition, Xana did not back down from Bane and proclaimed herself to be a killer. Impressed, Bane informed the girl that she would become his apprentice. So now we're rebuilding the Sith. Before departing Rusan, the Dark Lord took his apprentice to the Sith camp, where a group of mercenaries were looting the site. The mercenaries had fought for the Sith only to abandon the cause after Khan led his troops into the cave. Disgusted by those who were loyal only to money, Bane attacked the mercenaries, killing 4 of them quickly. Though the other 2 fled, Bane dismissed chasing them down because he saw no need in it. The 2 were soldiers for hire and would thus be believed by no one. Furthermore, Bane believed that the use of rumors of the Sith's continued existence could prove useful by confusing the Jedi Order and spreading fear and chaos. So he's playing a mind game too. In hopes of finding useful artifacts, Bane and Xana search the camp, finding a manuscript about the ancient Dark Lord, Friedan Nad. that had belonged to Cordis. Cordis had added in notes of his own, indicated that Nad was buried on the moon Duxon. Also in the document were sequences of numbers. Bane realized that these were account numbers where Cordis had kept his wealth, of which he had a great deal. With the manuscript in his possession, Bane left the camp, taking Xana with him to the site of the thought bomb's detonation. He began explaining to her some of the tenets of his new rule of two, such as the Sith Code. In the cave, the two encountered Xana's cousin, Daravit. The two embraced, only for Xana to quickly pull away upon remembering that she was now a Sith. When she explained this to her cousin, he challenged Bane to a fight, despite the fact that he was a mere boy and no match for the Dark Lord. However, before Bane could kill him, Xana used the dark side to cause his hand to explode. Her cousin.
Oh, I was like, what?
Yeah, she exploded his hand. Though Bane...
Why did she do that?
Because she did... Okay, so
She
it's
didn't
like...
want him to die, so
Yeah, she
instead
didn't
of
want
that,
Bane to-
blow his
correct.
hand off, and then he won't try to fight Bane, and then Bane won't kill him.
Oh, okay.
Because Bane's known for biting people's hands off. He
Because
didn't want to do
with
that.
his hand, he had an
He had-
advantage.
Yeah, he had a thumb that Bane could bite off.
Yeah,
so.
he'll hone in on those thumbs.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta
What if she
keep
just
them-
blew off the thumbs? That was the only thing he did.
It was like the
Blew
rest of
off
Star
his
Wars.
thumb.
What are you gonna? What your move, Bane? What are you gonna do?
Oh my gosh. Though Bane recognized that his apprentice had only attacked the boy to save him from Bane, he saw no harm in letting him go and was aware that Xana was only a neophyte in the ways of the dark side.
Ooh.
Bane decided to travel to Duxon in hopes of discovering even greater power. He instructed Xana to meet him on the neighboring planet Onderon in 2 weeks' time, and then departed, leaving his apprentice on Rusan to find her own way in the process and prove herself.
Onderon or Alderaan?
Onderon.
Oh,
Where is that from? Like what?
Star Wars. It's from
No,
Star
I
Wars.
know, but what
was
it
that in
one
Bad
from
Batch?
Bad Batch?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yes, it
dude.
was. It was in Bad Batch because I thought it was Alderaan, and you said it wasn't.
Oh, because Onderon is Saw Gerrera.
Ah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. There's some puns in the Twitch chat that are funny. So they don't touch on this, but Daravit, so he's there, and Bane and Xana leave, and he's got a nub. He's pretty weak. He's force sensitive, but he's pretty weak.
Oh, so
And
he
he's-
is semi-force sensitive.
Yeah, he's like all right. He's not a.
He's like
wasn't
Finn.
meant- Dang. You mean poorly written and never given a chance to actually become something?
Yep.
No. He
Oh.
just was expressly stated as like he had force sensitivity, but he just wasn't super powerful. But he does touch the thought bomb.
You
it
should have
drives
thought
him-
about it.
This isn't funny. Because it drives him insane. Just from a simple touch. Because he immediately feels all of the despair and all the hopelessness from inside the thing. And it drives him temporarily insane. In almost an instant. Like, can you imagine making contact with something like that and just losing your mind because of what you experience? Like, it's just... I'm saying thought bomb's crazy, y'all.
All right.
Inty ways. Now that Drew has just made a laughing stock of this thing, it's fine. Okay, so after leaving Rusan, Bane headed for Duxon and the Valsian. However, while in transit, the ghostly spirit of Cordis appeared and chided him for abandoning the Brotherhood. Bane insisted that he was only furthering the Sith cause, but he was enraged by Cordis's claims and began to doubt his sanity. After spending several days stuck in the starfighter's cockpit listening to Cortus curse him, Bane finally releases anger when the Valsian entered Duxon's atmosphere. Unleashing a blast of dark side energy, he caused Cortus's spirit to vanish, but also damaged the ship, forcing him to make a crash landing. So that was great. Bane, however, managed to survive the crash, even though his ship was destroyed upon impacting the moon. The Cortus continued to mock him, insisting that he would die on Duxon. Bane ignored his pleas and marched onwards to where he sensed Nad's tomb to be. Though he was attacked by a predator on the way, the Sith Lord managed to defeat it and continue on his goal. Bane was guided by the spirit of Khan, who, unlike Cortus, did not make any attempts to attack him. He was able to make it to the tomb and immediately began searching it. There, Bane located Nad's holocron. However, as Bane moved to claim it, he was attacked by a number of beetle-like creatures in the chamber where the holocron was. Bane was unable to keep them away, and two of them attached to his skin, square on the chest and the back of his left shoulder. As they could not be removed, this caused the Sith Lord to be in a perpetual state of pain from the creatures gnawing on his skin, only enhanced as they began to slowly multiply and spread across his body.
It's exciting.
Oh, it's great. It's actually pretty cool, and it will be in a little bit. As he began to study Nad's holocron, Bane discovered that the creatures were parasites called orbalisks that could not be removed. Though they caused the Dark Lord to be in constant pain, their shells were impenetrable. Even lightsabers could not crack them. The orbalisks, covering nearly all of Bane's body, formed an impervious suit of armor. Furthermore, they gave Bane tremendous healing abilities and pumped chemicals into his bloodstream, enhancing his connection to the Force while increasing his rage, thus boosting his power in battle. Because they increased his capabilities while causing him to suffer unending pain, Bane viewed the creatures as both a gift and a curse. After spending days studying the holocron, Bane exited the tomb and headed to Onderon. Taming a flying Drexel using the powers of the dark side, he mounted it and rode towards the edge of the atmosphere, where Duxon came close to Onderon's atmosphere. Once on Onderon, he found Xana being threatened by a group of beast riders. On board the Drexel, Bane attacked the riders, slaughtering them and their mounts. Now that his apprentice had proven herself, Bane planned to begin training Xana. So this moon and Onderon were so close that their atmospheres almost overlapped, and he literally just jumped. He just jumps using a flying creature from one atmosphere to another. He just boop, just skedaddles right on over there. Let's continue. Any questions? Pretty crazy story, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right.
So he's still wearing those features?
Yeah.
So it's like, do they ever come off? Or
You have to find out. But think about like think about like a horseshoe crab, right? You know what I'm talking about? The little things you can pet at like every zoo and aquarium.
Yep.
The thing
Yeah.
with the shells, they have the tails, and little kids are like, "Is that a stingray?" It's never a stingray. It's not a stingray.
Oh, they're
It's a
not.
freaking, huh? What did you say?
Like,
did
oh,
you say,
they're
Drew?
not?
Come on, Drew. Anyways,
He's
think
still
about
that kid.
he's still that kid.
Stephanie's like, no, we cannot go to the petting zoo. Let's keep going.
It's funny because like those things, if you pick them up, they're nasty underneath their shells. They've got all these like freaking claws and legs and stuff, and they're always moving. It's nasty. But think about a bunch of horseshoe crabs attaching themselves to your body, and they begin to eat away at your flesh, but also give you better powers.
It's like,
And then they
What
form a
to
suit of
do?
armor that is impenetrable.
So, if he had a choice, would he want him removed, or does he want him on?
For right now, he finds it acceptable
Okay.
because of because like the dark side of the Force, it feeds off, pain and anger make you stronger. So if he's always pissed off at these things, he's always got something to pull from.
All right, I have my theory about what's going to happen. So you said that he doesn't realize till later that he killed his dad by crushing his heart.
Yeah,
So
we
my
already did that though. We already had that realization
Oh,
in
I thought you said.
in the Sith temple. That was the thing that made him like close himself off from the Force originally.
Oh, then never mind.
Sorry.
So I was like, oh, he's gonna like use the Force to like crush all the individual things, and they release.
Oh no. No, but it does get very interesting. I look down, Daddy Palps. Yeah, but it's like an armor made of leeches. Yeah, but impenetrable leeches. That's it's a band name.
True.
Ooh, maybe.
Impenetrable.
A jazz band.
Yeah, Jasmine. Okay, so this is Xana's apprenticeship. Bane and Xana acquired a new vessel from a Nemoidian merchant and left Onderon, establishing a camp on Ambria, where they spent the next 10 years. Thanks to the credits that they had obtained from Cordis's account, the two built up a vast intelligence network, learning secrets that they hoped would one day allow them to destroy the Jedi and gain galactic control. Bane taught Xana in the ways of the dark side, as well as the philosophy of the rule of two. Future Sith Lords were to be taught the virtues of patience, planning, and secrecy, while each was to take the title of Darth, a tradition that had been dated back to the time before the Jedi Civil War, nearly 3 millennia ago. Around this time, Sith prisoners in custody on Akrit Tar revealed to the Jedi that they believed Bane to be the fabled Sith Ari, although the Jedi incorrectly believed that Bane had been killed during the Ruusan campaign. The Jedi archivist Restly Quist wrote about Bane in the Jedi training manual, The Jedi Path. Along with studying the dark side, Xana was tasked with occasionally stirring up rebel groups on different worlds over the years in order to distract the Republic. He was careful to always instruct his apprentice to cause these groups to be defeated, as while he wanted the Republic distracted and weakened. He did not want one of these separatist groups gaining enough power to overthrow the Republic itself. In 990 BBY, Xana undertook a mission to Sereno, where she manipulated the Anti-Republic Liberation Front and their plans to kidnap a former Supreme Chancellor Tarsus Valorum, leading to them failing in their mission. She returned from Sereno with a force-sensitive nobleman named Hetan and his 8 Umbaran shadow assassins. The assassins attacked the Dark Lord, although Bane was able to defeat them and kill Hetan. He then attacked his apprentice in a mindless rage, nearly killing her. Xana saved herself only by revealing that it had been a trick to kill Hetan and gain information he possessed. The location of the deep core planet Tython, home to an ancient fortress of the Dark Lord Belia Darzu. Hetan claimed there was information on how to create holocrons there, something Bane was very interested in, as he had tried and failed several times, including 2 initial attempts after learning the meaning of the ritual glyphs on Sith holocrons, and a final failure when Xana was on Sereno.
So you mentioned the year 990.
Yeah.
So how old is Bane now?
He was born in 1026.
So he's 36.
Hold on.
Something like that.
He was born in 1026, so
10. Yeah.
he's 36, yeah.
Okay. So then because he left that mining thing when he was 13.
No. He began
his journey.
He began mining at 13.
Oh, so how old was he?
16.
Or my question is, what's the time span between when he left to now?
30 years or 20 years. I think, didn't he leave at 16?
Hold on. Hold on. I'm looking. I gotta scroll.
Pretty
A
sure.
lot.
What,
Bit-
like
Didn't he
like from
bite
Marvel?
the thumb off at 16?
No.
No, 16 was the typo that someone put the wrong age in there.
Yeah.
So forget that number exists.
He was attacked. The Sith Wars. Like it kind of.
Twist
kinda
says
gets
20-ish.
Yeah. It kind of gets a little
I thought he left at 16.
ambiguous. No, he leaves a little bit later than that
Oh.
because he kills his father at like 18,
Oh.
and then it's another 5 years, so it would be 23.
Okay, so he's been doing it for like 13, 13 years. That's
This is a lot longer than it seemed for the story.
Yeah,
It seems like this is like a year or something. Like he's doing all this stuff.
Well, they do some pretty quick like time jumps, and then the farther we get into the story, it becomes like 10 years has passed. Oh, this many number of years has passed. Like there's a pretty significant gap between the second and the third book. I think that's where that 10 years happens, but I can't remember. So anyways, they have the location of Tython now, and he wants to go find out how to successfully make a holocron so that he can store all of his knowledge for the rule of two. Obviously, that's a understandable goal because
He's exciting.
Yeah. Bane traveled to Tython, sending his apprentice in disguise to the Jedi Temple in the meantime. Bane had begun to wonder if the Orbalisks could continue holding him back, could be holding him back, and wanted her to research possible ways of removing them. On Tython, Bane located, and by the way, he sent her to the main temple on Coruscant.
The Jedi Temple or Sith
Correct.
Temple? Okay.
The Jedi Temple. On Tython, Bane located Darzu's fortress, and although he had to battle an army of Darzu's techno beasts, he was able to claim the holocron. From it, he learned the secret to creating a successful holocron of his own. However, shortly after his triumph, Xana landed on Tython along with her cousin Daravit. Remember him?
You got a prosthetic arm hand now.
Daravit had revealed the Sith's existence to the Jedi and had been taken to the Jedi Temple to speak with the Council. In the archives, he had encountered Xana, who he recognized as his childhood friend despite her disguise. The two had fled after Daravit revealed to her that he had informed the Jedi of their existence. So he was like, she was like, yo, we got to get back.
Like, how do you start that conversation with the Jedi Council? Like,
It's like,
I know
hey,
something you don't know.
but like, why would they believe him? Like, and I guess like, well,
They can feel it. Yeah, they can feel it in the Force.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Never mind.
Come on.
Continue.
Oh, and by the way, DeVue Twist makes a really good point. She does have to learn how to mask her dark side powers in the Jedi Temple. There's some really, like, obviously we're like kind of glossing over a lot of details because it's more of a summary, but like if you have the chance, go read the books. And they're re-releasing the books in those new sick, like hand-drawn looking covers.
Ooh, I might get them now.
Bro,
I like the feel of them.
yeah. Like, they're really good books. Really, some of my favorite books, especially because of the way that they explore the inner workings of the dark side and how they like channel their power and how Bane's learning things, and like it's really fascinating. After informing her master that the Jedi had followed her, Xana and Bane prepared for battle in Darzu's ancient fortress. Though they were outnumbered, the Sith were able to gain the upper hand thanks to the ferocity of Bane's fighting style and the advantages accorded to him by his Orbalisk armor. Xana was able to kill Raxta Lu. There's some Jedi. She killed him. There are two of them. She killed him. They're gone. While Bane killed Valentine Farfalla and who was a pretty big character on the Jedi side during these books, and fatally wounded another. However, as he moved in to kill the last Jedi, Johann Othone with Force Lightning, the other remaining Jedi, created a protection bubble to deflect Bane's Force Lightning back on him, frying the Sith Lord and killing the Orbalisks. In response, the parasites released a deadly poison that threatened to kill Bane. Xana quickly ended Othone and took Bane to her ship. Recalling what Bane had once told her, she decided to take him to Caleb on Ambria, bringing Daravit with her. However, the healer refused to cooperate. And as his daughter now lived on another world, Xana had no leverage on him. Prodded by Daravit, who insisted that she was a good person, not a Sith, and by Caleb, who promised to heal Bane if she gave up herself and her master to the Jedi, Xana agreed to surrender and sent a message to the Jedi Temple, informing the Jedi that the Sith Lord who had killed a number of Jedi on Tython was on Ambria, helpless. Caleb then began to heal Bane. When Bane woke days later, he was free of the Orbalisks and cured of their poison. Xana told him what she had done, and he expressed his disappointment before asking her to kill him, sparing him the life of a prisoner of the Jedi. However, Xana had another plan in mind all along. She killed Caleb and then used her power to drive Daravit mad. The Jedi soon, this is super smart. The Jedi soon came ready to arrest the Sith, but Xana had hidden herself and her master under the hut. All they found was Daravit, who in his madness attacked the Jedi. They killed him easily, believing he was the Sith. At long last, the Jedi thought that they had finally eliminated the Sith. When Bane awoke, Xana told him of what happened, and he admitted that he had underestimated her and was proud of her. One day, he told her she would have the power to overthrow him and take an apprentice of her own.
So how did they not sense them?
I don't know. They hid their presence.
They can do that?
Yeah. Oh.
What?
The view twist. Farfalla had it coming. This scene is like a horror movie. Yeah.
I feel like
these books are edgy.
yeah, but
love it.
I don't know. I feel like the Sith like they just like keep making up all these random abilities and just
Going
like
with it.
Dude, the dark side is a pathway to many abilities some might deem unnatural. Okay.
Ooh, true. Also, this
So-
isn't canon, Jeremiah. So
I know,
calm
but it's
down.
just like
you shut your smooth mouth.
but it's just like you look at the Sith in canon, like they don't have any abilities other than like Force Lightning, like, and you only
Sidious had a lot of abilities.
Sidious
They
had
just
a
didn't
lot.
show them
Yeah.
in the films.
They just don't have enough time.
like what?
Like Palpatine definitely used the same hiding his presence ability the whole time.
The whole time.
Well, I guess there's that. Yeah.
Some
and-
consider it to
and
be
he does
unnatural.
his-
Sorry for misquoting.
Yeah, I know you
Palpatine.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, stop.
But because he only thing that we see that he does like he does that that Sith like seance thing or whatever where he can like over the flame the little campfire thing.
Yeah.
But,
There's more
like-
stuff. It's all, dude. It's all subtle background stuff.
I thought you were gonna say it's all in E.
Look, it's good stuff, Jeremiah. Just roll with it. All right,
All
we're
right.
10 years later.
Are we still in the first book or are we in the second book?
We're in the third book.
Oh, I didn't even know we changed books yet.
Yeah. I mean, there's not like a break in here that's like,
Oh.
this is the third book. You know, it's just the Bane story. Okay, so 10 years later, 980 BBY. Bane and Xana had relocated to Citric 4. They owned a large mansion. The two possessed immense wealth, which they used to continue to build up their network of spies and plan for a time when the Sith could destroy the Jedi. Bane had also created a holocron, which held all of his knowledge, and, posing as a simple collector, the Dark Lord had acquired a great number of Sith artifacts. However, Bane was worried about his apprentice. Because she showed no desire to claim the mantle of Dark Lord of the Sith, he had begun to believe that she was weak and planned to wait for him to age before she challenged him, rather than seizing the power from the Dark Lord when he was strong, as the Rule of Two demanded. By postponing the inevitable duel between master and apprentice, Xana, Bane believed, was destroying the purpose of the Rule of Two to keep the Sith strong. Further worrying him was the fact that he was aging rapidly due to his use of the dark side and his injuries on Tython a decade ago. As such, Bane had begun to develop contingency plans based on something he had stumbled upon in a book. According to the record, an ancient Sith Lord named Darth Adendu had lived for centuries thanks to his use of the dark side of the Force. Though there was little information available, Bane was determined to learn Adendu's secret and save the Sith. One afternoon, Bane, under the guise of a wealthy merchant named Sep Omek, arranged a meeting with Argel Tin, an authority on Sith artifacts, at a local cantina. The Sith Lord despised the man, who believed himself to be an expert on the Sith, when Bane was confident that Tin knew nothing of the true power of the dark side. Nonetheless, Tin was useful, and so the Sith Lord had utilized his assistance multiple times in the past to acquire Sith relics. Bane had asked Tin to find information on Darth Adendu, and after a great deal of searching, Tin had located an ancient manuscript on Adendu, which he sold to the Dark Lord. The text revealed that there was a fortress dedicated to Adendu on the deep core world of Prakith. Bane decided to send Xana to the planet Doan, where a Jedi had been murdered 3 days ago, to determine who had been able to kill the Jedi, while he planned to surreptitiously travel to Prakith and learn the secret to immortality. After Xana departed, Bane boarded his starship, the Triumph, and headed to Prakith, where he located Adendu's fortress. Upon entering, he was attacked by members of the cult Malevolence, dedicated to the long-dead Adendu. Bane was able to easily slay the assailants and recover Adendu's holocron. On the return trip, Bane accessed the holocron, but found that the gatekeeper was unwilling to teach him how to live on after death. Angered, he forced it to tell him by plunging his consciousness into the holocron. He was able to literally take the knowledge from the device, thus learning the art of essence transfer. Using the dark side, he could transfer his spirit into another's body.
Wait a second.
Yep.
So everyone's mad that Palpatine did that, but it was already part of the EU. Like,
who is mad that Palpatine did that?
everybody that didn't like that he was in.
Dude, when I heard that, I was like, oh, they brought that into canon. Like, I had no problems with it.
Oh.
Though this ritual was extremely dangerous, convinced that his will was strong enough to overpower it. So that was the thing. That was the other thing that, like, I think Palpatine kind of skirted by, because he transferred his essence into a clone body, whereas the ritual of essence transfer, your will had to be stronger than the persons you were transferring to. You literally had to overpower them and control their body. So
is it the same thing, or?
I mean, it's the same concept.
Because the thing is, what Palpatine did.
Oh, and by the way, Palpatine definitely did it in the EU too. Thank you for reminding me, David.
Because Palpatine said that Plagueis was able to discover the route to immortality. So
yeah.
So then technically it's not the same thing?
Well, Plagueis is going about it a different way. So Plagueis was hoping to manipulate midichlorians to literally stop flesh from deteriorating. So Plagueis was going about it in a much more scientific way, I guess, compared to this, where Plagueis was like, how can I use the Force to affect the midichlorians in my own body to basically prolong my life inevitably? Because you would prevent your mortal tissue from decaying, essentially, from getting older. Whereas this is like one, it's stupidly savage because you're literally eradicating someone else's consciousness with your own. And then two, for the most part, you don't keep your body. Or you don't. You
So-
overpower someone else.
So I'm assuming what you said about Plagueis was from the Plagueis novel, right?
Correct.
So Palpatine didn't do what the EU Plagueis meant about immortality, but in canon, it's basically borrowing something from Bane and saying that's
Yeah.
what Plagueis
Yeah.
did.
Palpatine did it, but he just
So they
He
kind of
basic-
so they merged like two different
yeah,
storylines from the EU into one.
To one.
correct. Well, not okay. They did and they didn't.
So basically,
because
they used the rule
Palpatine-
of two ideas. That's what you're telling me.
Stop.
Burr, burr, burr,
No, that wasn't.
Ah.
No, stop. It was good. It was good, but
But
so
was it
first,
worth it?
First of all, David made a really good point. Plagueis, his methods were lost when he died. He never completely figured it out, or I think maybe he actually had.
Well, he said he could save the ones he loved, but he could not save
Yeah.
himself.
I think he could. I think he could do it for either himself or other people, but like he died and his knowledge was gone. But Palpatine didn't entirely do. He didn't entirely get the Plagueis side of things either, because obviously when we see him in the Rise of Skywalker, like all of his clone bodies are deteriorating very rapidly because of his dark side power. So that was the other thing. It's like you also had to transfer your essence into a vessel that could contain, relatively contain the person that was making the jump. And so Bane wouldn't have been able to walk up to some random dude on Pantorum and that wasn't force sensitive and just do it, because eventually that wouldn't work out very well. But it is kind of a merging of the two theories, but at the same time, it's like Palpatine couldn't figure out how to get the bodies to stay, and he also transferred his essence into a clone that didn't have any essence. Basically, he just changed skins, which took the whole brutality out of it.
Right.
So, okay. So, anyways, he figured that out through the holocron. When Bane returned to Citric 4, he found that Xana was not back. Upon entering his mansion, he was attacked by a force-sensitive Iktachi and a group of soldiers. Bane fought back and was able to kill several of the assailants. However, the Iktachi was able to stab him with a blade coated in Synflax, a powerful neurotoxin designed to knock out even the strongest of opponents. The toxin caused him to faint, enabling the Iktachi and the soldiers to take him prisoner. Bane was then taken to Doan, where their benefactor, Princess Sarah, resided. Sarah was the daughter of the healer Caleb, and upon learning of her father's death at the hands of a Sith Lord, sought to punish the guilty party. Deep in the stone prison, Sarah began to torture Bane by administering various poisons. However, much to her shock, Bane insisted that he had not killed Caleb. Nonetheless, Sarah reiterated that it was still his fault and continued torturing him, expecting the Dark Lord to beg for mercy and forgiveness. However, Bane was not overcome from the pain. Far from it. Instead, he explained that Caleb had died because he was weak, and that Bane himself had been captured because he was not strong enough. Feeding on his own pain and Sarah's anger, Bane mocked the princess and proclaimed that he would escape. Furious, Sarah injected him with Synflax, knocking him out before leaving the prison. Unknown to Sarah, her bodyguard, Lucia, had served with Dessel in the New Sith Wars and was stunned at the anger and cruelty her mistress was showing. Lucia made the decision to free Bane, believing she still owed him her life for his heroics during the war. She injected him with a chemical that would cancel out the effects of the Synflax and allow Bane to break free. When Bane awoke, he found that his strength had returned and he was able to escape from his cell, leaving several guards dead in the process. As Bane headed upwards, he sensed Xana's presence. The Sith apprentice had managed to track him to Doan and had come prepared to kill him and take the title of Dark Lord. She had learned of his interest in Adendu and believed that he intended to use the dark side to prevent himself from ever dying and rule over the Sith for eternity. Exactly the opposite, she believed, of what the Rule of Two was created for. As Bane headed for a hangar, he encountered Lucia. She quickly explained who she was and begged him to let Sarah live. Hesitating for a moment, Bane then exclaimed that the soldier she had known was no more and prepared to execute Lucia. But before he could unleash the dark side on her, Xana arrived and killed Lucia. She proclaimed that Bane was weak and unwilling to let his knowledge pass on to her. Bane countered that his apprentice was not ready and was unworthy of the mantle of Dark Lord of the Sith. Realizing that Bane's lightsaber had been taken from him, Xana then attacked. Bane was able to hold her off with the Force, though he was aware that he could not defeat Xana without a lightsaber and was merely delaying the end. Suddenly, alarm bells rang out. Sarah had activated the prison self-destruct sequence. As the prison began to collapse, Bane used the Force to bring the ceiling down. Though Xana was able to avoid being crushed, a wall of rock now stood between the two. Xana fled to her ship, while Bane ran towards the main hangar where he found the Iktachi. As he prepared to attack her, she bowed to him, holding out his lightsaber. The woman then explained that she sensed his power and wanted to become his apprentice. Realizing her strength in the Force and her determination to become a Sith, he accepted. The two boarded her starship and left the prison as it collapsed around them. The Iktachi then explained that she was an assassin who had been able to track Bane to Citric 4 thanks to visions she received through the Force. Guided by another vision of hers, the two headed to Ambria. There, Bane found Sarah, who had been able to escape the destruction of the prison and had fled to her homeworld. Having abandoned her desire for revenge, she tried in vain to convince Bane and the Iktachi to turn away from the dark side, only for the Iktachi to kill her. Bane prepared to begin training his new apprentice, now known as Darth Cognis. However, one loose end remained, Xana. The Dark Lord sent a communication to Xana's shuttle, instructing her to come to Ambria. She complied and soon arrived for their final confrontation. So, by the way, Xana had a double-bladed lightsaber, but
that's
it
cool.
was the handle was shorter. It wasn't a full staff. It was kind of like a pike, like the pikes that the temple guards. That's what I was looking for. They used, but it was her own special way of fighting. Once Xana landed, Bane ordered Cognis to stay back, while the two Sith Lords drew their lightsabers and engaged in combat. Knowing that the loser would die, both fought furiously, with Bane slowly pushing Xana back. His former apprentice then unleashed her Sith sorcery, only to have Bane successfully repel her attack on his mind. Which, there's a lot more about this in the book, but Xana was super good at Sith sorcery. Like, she had a affinity for it. That's the word I was looking for. So, like, she could do stuff with the Sith sorcery that Bane couldn't. It was super cool. And she, like, used...
Like what?
Huh?
Like, what would be an example of things that she could do?
So, like, in this final battle, she, like, used... And I don't remember the exact specifics, but she, like, used plants. Like, she, like, took control of plants in the ground and used them to, like, completely overwhelm him and attack him and then try to attack his mind with it or something like that. It's crazy.
I was just thinking from the last Airbender, the hillbillies in the swamps using
Yeah.
the vines and stuff to like attack.
Or maybe wait, hold on. Maybe not, because there's a part in here about dark side tendrils. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. I just know that, like, she had some crazy powerful abilities. I may be wrong. Again, it's been years since I've read this part of the book, but As Bane charged forward, ready to attack, Xana played her trump card, creating deadly dark side tendrils. One of these tendrils brushed against Bane, causing him to feel pain unlike he had ever known. Managing to stay conscious, he was able to attack Xana and swiftly disarm her. As the Dark Lord prepared to kill his apprentice, a tendril lunged up, grabbing his arm and vaporizing it.
Dang.
In a flash of pain and fury, Bane released his essence, determined now to destroy Xana's consciousness and take control of her body. The two Sith Lords matched wills, each trying to push the other out and into the great void from which there was no return. Bane's body was destroyed, turned to ash by the power of the ritual. After a struggle of wills, it was over. Xana had triumphed, and though a small portion of her master remained in her, the Dark Lord Bane, creator of the Rule of Two, was dead.
Dang, GG.
Yeah.
So does she take?
Oh, that's a good point. DeView twist. Thank you. She could give people nightmare visions until they go crazy.
Ooh.
It was stuff like that.
So she became the Dark Lord of Sith. So does that mean
Correct.
the
Okay,
the new
she-
Darth that was just there became her apprentice, or
I believe so, yeah. But here's the thing. So it doesn't really say, because this is like, if you didn't know that we were doing spoilers already, this is for sure spoilers for the end of the third book.
spoiler alert?
So Bane had like a twitch in his hand that he developed at one point, and I know that like Wikipedia was like a small portion of her master remained in her, like, but that's never been confirmed. So the way this book ended, they have this like super epic dark side duel. She's using the tendrils and like is doing stuff we've never seen before. The dark side. Bane's doing the essence transfer thing. We've never seen that go down before. It's super crazy. And then the dust settles and Bane's gone. But the last part of the book is like she looks down and her hand, the same hand, is twitching.
Ooh.
I feel like I've heard that before.
But
like,
it's never like no one
Confirmed.
ever confirmed it. Like the author didn't confirm it. It's never been officially stated by Star Wars. Like it's like this thing where it's like maybe he actually survived in Xana's body, but we don't know. We don't actually know for sure.
it's kind of like the end of Inception with the top.
It's actually hilarious that you say that because David just typed. It's the Star Wars equivalent of the top spinning at the end of Inception.
Funny.
And it is. It's like she looks down and her hands twitching, and then the book ends, and you're like, "What?"
Does she have her own book or no?
No?
So when was this trilogy written?
A long time ago.
In a galaxy far, far away.
In our galaxy, not too long ago.
I mean, I feel like it was a long time ago.
It was the first book. It was 2006.
Oh.
Oh, is that recent? Because I guess for some reason when I think of EU stuff, I think of like late 80s, early 90s type of thing.
Late 80s, early 90s, dude. Most of the EU started in like the late 90s.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought all that stuff's like was like all
No.
gun ho in like late 80s.
Gun
90s.
hole.
Late 90s.
Oh.
Late 90s, early 2000s was when it was like really hitting. I mean, it was like mid to late 90s.
That's when I was banging.
It was banging. Because if you think about it, the Thrawn books were like I look down, Tanner. The EU was super in full swing until Disney ruined everything. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Heir to the Empire was 91. So
That's
that is
So-
29
it is-
years.
It was picking up in the early 90s, and it was gaining a ton of steam.
Yeah, 91 is the year I was born.
Okay.
So.
Good for you. I don't know. Anyways, so that was that was the Darth Bane story in a nutshell. He's pretty BA. Super
Yeah.
powerful.
Interesting.
Any thoughts or remarks or anything before we dive into voicemails?
I kind of wish there was a book about her. Because there's nothing about, like, the way she dies or anything.
Nope.
Well, you could write a fan fiction.
It like definitely drops, like the story just drops off after this, between this and the Phantom Menace. So you get a little bit of like Plagueis's master Tenebris, but like before him, it's like there's like 1,000 years of Sith just hiding in secret, waiting, like developing this plan. And then if you read the Plagueis book, there's a lot of insight into him and Palpatine carrying that legacy and the plan finally actually coming to fruition through Palpatine, which is crazy.
So, question though, Yoda knows that the rule of two exists.
Yeah.
And that he knows that Bane created it.
Yep.
So, how did, like, who all knew that the rule of two existed when he did it?
Remember there was a part where I was like, there was an archivist that wrote about it.
Oh, yeah.
There was an archivist that wrote about it super, super early on. And then it was kind of a mystery.
Right. Okay.
After that.
All right.
All right. Well, I think it's time to go into voicemails. You guys ready?
Yes,
I am.
sir.
All right. Here we go. All right. We have 5 voicemails today.
Ooh.
The first being from Izzy. You know him. You love him. Here we go.
Hi guys, it's Jedi Master Izzy. Just have a question. What are your guys' favorite movies outside of Star Wars?
Ooh.
So, yeah, pretty straightforward question. Have a good day, and everyone who's listening, please join the Discord. It's a great time.
Thanks, Izzy. Yeah, thanks for. That's a great question,
That is a
and thank
good
you for
question.
reminding people to join the Discord. Favorite movies outside of Star Wars?
Interstellar.
That's a good one. That's
Are we
up
doing
there.
one or like
We
we're
can do
just
whatever
gonna
you want.
Do your
start
quick top-
naming
do-
off
just do your
every?
quick top 3.
There's a dog barking just above me, just so you know.
That's fine.
So I always go with Interstellar. I don't know what my favorite movie of all time is, but Interstellar is probably the best movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Still have never seen that.
What?
I own
Bro.
it. You're coming over.
We've had this
The
conversation.
soundtrack is so
We
good. The
definitely-
cinematography, so good.
It's like the best movie I've ever seen. But
Like it's in my top 10, Drew, for sure,
oh yeah,
without a shadow of a doubt.
No,
It's in
I've
my top
heard
10.
really good things. I just have not seen it yet.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight is pretty
Ooh,
amazing.
Dark Knight is really good. It's the best DC movie of all time.
You just like Christopher Nolan movies. That's what it is.
Is that? Oh yeah, I guess. But my favorite animated movie of all time is How to Train Your Dragon 1.
Oh, dude, that is a tear
Interesting.
jerker. No. Drew,
No.
have you seen have
Yes,
you
of
seen those
course.
movies?
Yes.
I
I just thought you were gonna say like Toy Story.
Toy Story, that janky movie? No.
Bro.
Oh,
How to train, dude, let me tell you something. How to Train Your Dragon,
no, it's a good movie. It's a good,
That's a-
solid film.
that's a solid movie.
That's a good movie.
Soundtrack to that's pretty amazing too.
It is.
Um,
Drew?
trying to think of my favorite anime movie now that you said
Fuck
that.
yeah.
I'm gonna go with
The Pokemon movie, the first one.
Pokemon 2000.
Bro, no. Stop, Drew. You know it's... Dude, the original Pokemon movie, say what you want about it. That's a good
No,
movie.
that's a good movie for sure.
When My Brother is playing at the end and the Pikachu's crying and they're slapping each other. And, anyways. Wait,
so my
hold on.
favorite.
Pause here. David just said in the chat, The Last Airbender by M. Night Shyamalan. I'm gonna go ahead and
You're gonna delete him off
ignore that.
Discord.
I'm gonna ignore the fact that you said that because I
David
know he's kidding.
or Tanner, you can delete that whole thing if you want
Yeah.
to.
Anyways,
Delete
Drew,
the
you were-
mods.
You were saying
So Titan. Have you ever seen Titan?
AE?
Yes.
I have.
That
been a
was
while.
like one of my favorite movies growing up.
Treasure Planet.
Treasure Planet was pretty good, but
Yeah,
Titan
dude.
AE was like one of my favorite anime movies. But I'm gonna go with the classic Lord of the Rings for sure.
Stephanie says your favorite movie is Sweet Home Alabama.
Wait, Stephanie's
No.
in the chat.
She is in the chat.
Good old,
No.
good old Reese Witherspoon.
Hi,
That is-
Stephanie.
But yeah, no.
Sweet Home Alabama, dude.
That is
there's-
not even.
That's a good movie though. There's some good ones. There's some
That
good
is-
ones from
that's
that era
not
of
my
cinema
favorite-
in general.
Favorite chick flick though. Well, I forget-
Legally Blonde. That's a good
No.
one. I'm not even embarrassed about that. Legally
Stephanie
Blonde's great.
loves Legally Blonde. Dude, White Chicks is a good movie.
White Chicks is a really good movie. Yeah.
Dumb and
Mean
Dumber.
Girls. Okay, but anyways, my
Okay,
favorites.
Lord of the Rings though. Lord of the
Okay,
Rings.
Lord of the Rings. My favorites are the Seven Samurai, Akira Kurosawa.
Mm,
It's one of my all-time favorites. The live-action Rurouni Kenshin movies that have recently they've been coming out off and on since like 2014, so they're pretty recent. But like, it's like the best live-action anime adaptation of all time that I've seen, and that is the anime that got me into martial arts. So like, it has a special place in my heart. They're great movies though. I would say Jurassic Park.
ooh,
The first Jurassic Park is one of my
it's solid.
is one of my favorites.
Indiana Jones.
I like Jurassic Park more. Indiana Jones is I mean like they're great movies, but like it's never been
Short
my thing.
Round. Okay.
Shrek 2 slaps. But yeah, I would say definitely Seven Samurai, Rurouni Kenshin movies,
The Goonies?
Jurassic Park. Someone mentioned Ready Player One in the chat. I
That is a-
love
that's
Ready
That is a
Player
good
One.
movie. That is a good
Yeah,
movie.
Interstellar.
Independence Day.
Bro, dude, I love Independence Day.
That is just a good like.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's that late 90s, early 2000s era of action movies. Like Will Smith was in his prime, Bruce Willis
True.
was still in his prime.
Dude,
like,
Will Smith is still in his prime.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
like-
fair. That's fair. But yeah, dude.
Pretty sure we've got over this.
Jeremiah, did I tell you that we watch Independence Day except for this last one? But since at least the first 4 years of our marriage, Micaiah and I watched Independence Day on Independence Day.
That's cool.
That's actually
Have you seen the sequel?
Yeah, it's like, dude, it was like Pacific Rim 2, you know? It's like it was entertaining, but anyways, my phone just died, so I don't have the chat anymore. So sorry everyone, I can't
David
watch,
said
but
Top Gun.
Top Gun's all right.
Yeah.
Yo, Transformers the movie, the animated movie from the late 80s with Unicron and Hot Rod, bro, that's one of my favorite animated movies of all time. That's a good one.
Never seen that.
Anyways, we could go on forever for this one. So let
Okay,
me-
real quick.
let's
Favorite-
move on to the next.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
go ahead,
what
go
is your
ahead.
guys' pick one favorite Christmas movie? Go.
A Christmas Story. That's the only one you watch. There's other Christmas movies. I didn't know.
Dude,
Die
I don't
Hard.
know.
Die Hard.
I love Die Hard. That's a good one.
Fun fact: I've never seen a Die Hard movie.
Me either.
I'm so disappointed in you both.
You're not gonna say the holiday special?
Have you seen RoboCop?
No.
And I'm not talking about the new one.
No.
From like,
Yeah, no.
I feel
you've
like
never
I've
seen RoboCop? Oh my
I think I've seen
gosh.
part, like really little. Like I probably shouldn't have been watching it. Like parents would yell at me if I watched
Dude,
it.
RoboCop was gruesome. They had some pretty
Yeah.
pretty crazy scenes. There's a shot where there's a walker thing and it's shooting this dude and he's just like back and forth. He gets shot like 600 times in the chest. And of course they've got squibs going off. So it's just blood is going everywhere. It's practical effects, way more believable. Christmas movie. I love Home Alone.
Ooh.
I really enjoy Home Alone. I love the Jim Carrey How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, mine's
Dude, okay, I might out myself on this one, but like as a category, the super cheesy Netflix Christmas movies that they come out with every year.
those like white like what is
What's the actor's name that was Santa? And that one.
Oh, the
Like-
Santa Claus? Dude, the Santa Claus movies are good. Tim Allen?
No,
No.
the one on Netflix that was like they made a sequel of it. There's like 2 of them. I only saw the first one. There's that
I don't know.
big name
what
actor,
was
Santa.
what was like the I don't remember.
There was
but-
one with Vanessa Hudgens. that
Yeah.
They made like 3 of them, and they were really good. And I
What's-
don't even care. They're great, and we
What's
watch
the
them.
what's the one that Netflix just put out? It's like Santa Claus is a girl.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
But
All
all right,
right, next voicemail.
next one's from David.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. Let's take a listen.
Hallmark movies.
What's
okay,
going
stuff.
on, boys? It's your boy David from the Discord. I got the question for you today.
Okay.
Which era of galactic history do you think that the Jedi sucked the most? So what era of the Jedi do you think the Jedi were as far from where the Jedi should have been in history? So, Andrew, I'm considering that you as part of this answer. If you'd like, go nuts. But Old Republic, High Republic, Clone Wars era, Luke Skywalker era, and beyond, who do you think didn't embody the light side of the Force the most, and why? Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
My favorite part is he lost his accent. Like,
Yeah, when he actually started talking.
I actually listened to this when I was preparing the voicemails, and I'm gonna go with the prequels era Jedi.
So the question again is
What era do you think the Jedi sucked the most?
Oh, I would say
Prequels too.
Prequels.
I was gonna say episode 9 because
Oh well,
there's only one, and
she doesn't do a very good job. Yeah, I would. Oh shoot, yeah, you're right. I take back my answer. I agree with you, Jeremiah, but I also think that the prequel era Jedi
Yeah.
just did not do a good job. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Obi-Wan. I love Obi-Wan. He's great. He's one of my favorite characters. But the rest of the Jedi Order, they didn't do a very good job.
they did their best.
Did
They-
they though?
Yeah.
I don't think so. But that's for a cantina discussion later.
Ooh.
Drew?
Yeah, I would say the prequels, but now episode 7 does sound really good, or 9 does sound really good to me, so. Yeah, probably the new 3 movies, they're pretty bad.
All right. Well, thanks, David. That was a good question. This is just one that I had a very quick answer to because it's pretty obvious. All right, we have a voicemail from a first-time voicemail
Ooh.
submitter, Chili Dip, from the
New
Discord.
to the Discord, so that's fun.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, so let's take a listen to his voicemail.
Hey guys, this is Chili Dip from the Discord. I just joined today. I'm a pretty big fan. I've been watching, or not watching, listening, I should say, to the podcast while at work for the past few weeks. And I know the EU is more of Andrew's thing, but I was wondering if you guys could see one series or, game, something from the Legends continuity continued. What would it be? I know personally I was a huge fan of the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic eras.
Yeah.
And I would love to see a sort of continuation of the Knights of the Old Republic games, something a little bit closer time-wise than the MMO. But
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what you guys think, and I'll be tuning in.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you for joining the Discord.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you for being a new listener. That's really great to hear. Thank you so much. Glad to hear you're enjoying it and listening during work. I hope that's not a problem with your boss. But thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. What would we like to see continued?
So
So
I
this is different because I thought he was going to go with what would you like to see brought into canon, of which I had a very quick answer, but this is a different
Continue.
question. This is a different question. Continued.
I like the Knights of the Old Republic.
Yep, that's a good one.
I
Oh,
kind of like what he said. I'm gonna go with that. That's my pick.
Death Troopers. Yeah. So
Um,
technically, the Death Troopers book kind of closed that chapter, but there's Red Harvest, which takes place in the Old Republic era,
That would be
and then
really
there's
cool.
Death Troopers that takes place before A New Hope. But it has, it's like pretty contemporary with that. It's got Han and Chewie in it and stuff. And so, like, I'd love to see, because obviously there was some in the Legends continuity. There was some, like, obviously the Empire was working on that for a reason, to create bioweapons. And I'd wager that they got that from the stuff that had happened in the Old Republic. And so I'd love to see how that continued on from point A to point B. Give me more zombie Star Wars stories.
You just
Those are
want
great.
zombies.
Dude. They're such fun stories. Like because you think, oh yeah, Sith, they'll be able to take out the zombies easy, and you realize the zombies have lightsabers, and they're actually kind of terrifying. And you realize that they give a Sith Academy a run for its money, and you're like, oh wait, these actually are kind of
BA.
they're kind of BA. They're not just you're like it's not like you take a Jedi and you put it into The Walking Dead where they're slow and they only get you if they get you in numbers and you're kind of stupid about the way you run. So Jeremiah,
Since I don't know anything about the EU, I'm gonna go with. I want to know what happened with the shaking hand at the end of the Bane trilogy.
Oh,
All
that's a good
right.
one.
That's a good one. Someone needed to
I mean,
do it.
I kind of just said that I wanted a book about her, so
Yeah.
it's not a bad
Drew,
idea.
I know Jeremiah probably won't read them, but Drew, if you have the chance, that trilogy is really, really good. And if you can, listen to the audiobook while you're reading it.
Which
it's-
I mean, I always do with Star Wars
Yeah,
books.
it's
But
really, really good.
as soon as I get done with, I catch up with everything, and
Yeah.
which means those Thrawn books. Then maybe.
I am reading the second Light of the Jedi book. I'm like 10 chapters in or something.
Ooh,
Oh,
you're getting
so-
there.
It hasn't hit the fan yet.
It's really slow. I've had to keep myself from falling asleep.
Oh
I've,
my
like-
gosh.
I mean,
So-
Well, there's gonna be a moment where it will
it's
literally
not
go
slow anymore.
it will literally go from 0 to 100 in a matter of like a page, and then it just stays at 100 for the rest of the book.
All right.
So
I'm hopeful. I like the first book, so
yeah.
you
Also,
still need to
Drew-
read the Ahsoka novel too.
yeah.
Also,
Both of
Drew,
you guys.
the War of the Bounty Hunters trilogy.
Ooh.
I'm telling you, if you want a Boba-centered book, you would love those books.
I'm
like,
hoping
they-
that they
they-
actually make a real Boba Fett book though.
Bro, they
Next voicemail.
dang it. All right, well, we have two back-to-back from Riley. Here's the first one.
Hey guys, it's Riley, and my question today is, what do you think your favorite video game, book, or movie character that isn't related to Star Wars would do in the Star Wars universe?
Okay.
So, what do you think our favorite character that's not related to Star Wars would do if they were in the Star Wars universe?
So here's the background behind this question because it kind of came up in Discord,
Okay.
and so I know the background. So we were talking about The Last of Us because I always talk about that game,
Yeah.
and it was brought up like, what would Joel do if he was in the Star Wars universe?
Oh, got you.
So that's the background. So a non-Star Wars character.
Well, I could go with Kenshin from Rurouni Kenshin, but he's a swordsman, so he would probably be a Jedi. Trying to think of another like favorite character.
Well, if I went with Hiccup from How I Trained Your Dragon, he'd fly the Caradex from the Bad Batch arc in Clone Wars.
Well, and if I did something similar and I went with Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, I think that'd be really interesting. It would definitely be a Jedi, but it'd be very interesting.
Oh, I got one.
Dude,
I got one.
Gandalf would totally be a great Jedi. No pun intended. That was like actually not intended as a pun. He would definitely not be like a Jedi like they were in the prequels.
All right, I got it. And you guys are gonna go with my answer. We're gonna get Mobius from the TVA. We'll
I was
go.
really excited
and-
because I thought you were
and-
going to say the Matrix, but it's not.
No, Mobius from the TVA. He's gonna go back and stop the the sequel trilogy from having to reset it and go in a different direction.
I was
Could
gonna
we-
say
could we
something
get-
about
could we
like
get Legends
Loki.
back.
No, that's
That's a lot of work.
that got pruned. Sorry.
Oh my god!
But
let
it
me tell you
exists at
something,
the
let me
end
tell you
of the
something.
timeline, so it's still there. It's at the end of the timeline in this bunch of chaos.
Let me tell you
and
something. I'm gonna make a hot.
Abeloth is there going around eating everything.
Yeah, that would be what she'd be doing. But I would go on record in saying I would rather have the sequels as they are and keep the EU. Like if the
if
trade
there's
off,
like one of the other.
yeah, if the trade off was like, yeah, you can have the EU, but you have to keep this. Like, we'll do whatever we want to with the rest of Star Wars. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, if I
But-
could, I feel like it'd be cool to see what Loki would do with the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what my favorite character is outside of Star Wars. Because like the only things that I consume outside of Star Wars are K-dramas. Don't knock them until you try them. They're so good. Or
Is that different than
Anime.
a Korean film?
Yes. Yeah.
well, it's Korean television.
Oh, so it's like a soap opera, but in
Whoa,
Korea-
that is a disgustingly oversimplification.
but
yes.
yes.
okay.
I mean, did you watch the last episode of Kingdom that just came out, Andrew?
Not yet. We're waiting to, dude. Don't say anything. We're waiting for.
I haven't watched it
weekend to
yet.
do
We're watching it this weekend
Well,
too.
because it's a prequel to season 3.
No, it's a prequel to
But to
season
the character,
1.
No. Because the character, the girl that shows up at the end of season 2, you're like, what? Who the frick is this? Where did she come from? You remember?
Yeah, but it's her story
It's her-
before season 1.
Correct.
Oh,
But it's
yeah.
giving her more backstory. To,
Yes,
what I
yes.
meant, I'm sorry, it's not a direct prequel. It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
giving her. Anyways,
You should watch that, Jeremiah. I think you would like it.
Kingdom, bro.
Uh,
Kingdom. Go watch
Is it-
Kingdom.
It's
it-
on
yes.
Netflix.
It's
Is
in
it-
Korean. You have
it
to have
is-
subtitles.
no
Dude,
thanks. Sorry.
It's historical
so
Korean.
good.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. We'll talk about it later. All right, I'm just gonna keep. No, I need to give my answer. Who would I? Gosh, who would I pick? Oh, the main character from Demon Slayer. He'd be a Jedi.
Yeah. My wife in the chat just said LOL K-dramas.
Bro, I
She's
love-
probably
don't-
watching one right now as we are
Yeah.
doing this. But
All right, Riley, voicemail number 2. Here we go.
Hey, it's Riley again with another question. What do you think would be a major conspiracy theory in the Star Wars universe? That is, if there would be any. Love the podcast. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Riley,
All right.
we love you. Thank you
So-
for doing that.
So this came up in that same conversation about Joel being thrown into the Star Wars universe. We were talking about it would be cool if there was a Clone Wars arc where people, the civilians who were kind of like conspiracy theorists, figured out that Palpatine was the Sith Lord, and then Palpatine finds out that they figured it out, and then has them dealt with. So that's how.
So my answer would be there would be a conspiracy theory about Darth Vader's true identity, because in the Dark Lord of the Sith trilogy, so it's got Labyrinth of Evil, Revenge of the Sith, and then Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith, or it's just Darth Lord of the Sith. There is actually in that book, people are like trying to figure out where this dude came from, and he's mentioned multiple times as this like random enforcer that came out of nowhere at the end of the war, and there was all these theories like maybe he's a fallen Jedi that Palpatine took as a bodyguard, because like no one knows he's a Sith Lord, you know. So it's
Right.
like maybe he's a fallen Jedi, or maybe he's this and this and this. So I think I would imagine that there was a lot of conspiracy about the actual identity of Vader, because the word about him travels, but so little people had seen him in person, and the people that had probably didn't live to tell about it.
Because they got choked out.
Yeah, or like the stormtroopers fought beside him, but they were too scared to actually ask any legit questions, you know, if they survived. So that would be I would guess that would be a pretty big conspiracy theory.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
No, the thing is, like, the 501st would have known who he was, because before he went to his suit, they marched on the Jedi Temple like they knew who he was.
Yeah.
True. I feel like the whole theory, like after episode 4, like the whole thing about just the Force in general.
Yeah, Luke did shake some things up.
Because for a while, like, I mean, even Han was like, the Force is not real, you know, like it seemed like by that time in the Star Wars universe, like the Force was not really a present thing that everyone knew about.
Yeah.
So.
Sweet. All right. Well, that's it for the voicemails. Riley, David, Chili, and Izzy, thank you so much for sending this in. It's always like my favorite part of these episodes. No matter how good the conversation is before, I really enjoy hearing from all of you guys and gals. So thank you for sending this in. We really appreciate it. Really quickly, I'm going to make this nice and sweet and to the point. In the description of all of our audio-only episodes, wherever you listen to that, as well as in the link in our Instagram bio, which you don't actually have to have an account to go check out. Just go to Instagram.com/Empire Radio Podcast. So in the description, in our link, the link in our bio, as well as in the About Us section on our Twitch page, twitch.tv/Empire Radio, there is a link on all three of those locations. You can click it, and it is a landing page that contains all of our social media information, all of the accounts we have. So Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, where all of the recordings, the video recordings of these episodes go up, our Twitch information, a link to join our Discord. So we do stream these episodes live every Tuesday and every Friday, as long as the Bad Batch is going for Fridays, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. All of that information is there. So that's going to be your place to do all of that, to check us out. And there's a link to leave us voicemails as well, if you want to do that. So, again, we haven't hit the mark yet, but if we ever have 12 legitimate voicemails, and by legitimate, I mean like legit questions like we had tonight.
All of them tonight were really good.
Yeah, they were really good tonight. So there's your example. If we have 12 of those, we'll bench whatever we're doing for that Tuesday, and we'll do voicemails entirely. So the challenge is still out there. It's still running. So, but if you want to connect with us, definitely join the Discord if you can. And definitely, if you can't join the Discord for whatever reason, join the streams if you can, because we interact with the chat, as you have heard during this episode live. So yeah. Anything else?
No.
Oh.
All right, everyone. This has been another Wizard episode of the Empire Radio Podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And may the Force be with you.
Always.
Always.